Alright, so I am, of course, talking about writing in the content areas. So let's get started. In summary, we're writing about writing with revisions, writing without revisions, expository text, argumentative writings, and then I added in teacher's obligations. So I want to start out with this. Hertzberg and Rowe did a survey and came up with this sentence that says, from the survey, that most teachers did not think they had to teach writing. So it says, teachers of content areas typically said it was not their responsibility and that they were not qualified to teach writing. So let's get that through our heads. We have to teach writing. Repeat that. We have to teach writing in our content areas. I know it's a mouthful, but it's very important. So we're going to be talking about writing without revision. So there's a few approaches that they gave you in the book that I like to go over, and it's learning logs. These are, first off, writing without revision is more like kind of like shorter answers where you're not doing drafts and you're kind of just getting to the basic information, but you're not like spelling isn't a huge thing. You're just getting the meat and potatoes. And so they have learning logs where the teacher gives them a question or they have a writing prompt that they need to discuss and write about in detail about the content area, something in the content area. There's also think, write, and share, which is very self-explanatory. The teacher gives you a question, the students think, and then they write, and then they share with each other for editing and kind of like what do you have, and they learn from each other. Note-taking and note-making, it's not just you put up a slide, they take it down. You need to be like, they want to be interactive with their notes. So like we did in 319, they need to be making pictures, paraphrasing, and synthesizing. So that's kind of the basis of writing without revision. And then we're getting into with revision. Talk about shared writing in small groups. Writing with revision is getting deeper into it and getting more like revising and editing. You have shared writing where the class does a paper together. So the teacher kind of gives them a topic in the content area, and then the students kind of pitch ideas at them, and they kind of build a writing together and explore new information on that area. And then small groups is pretty much what it sounds like, small groups. So say somebody give me an animal. Zebra. Okay. Zebra's first, what I said. So the teacher broken up into, let's say, 4 groups. So you have one group and you say, all right, you guys are going to write about zebras where they live. This group's going to write about zebras, what they eat, and then zebras, so on and so forth. And they work together to put together a writing about their subject and what they're specified in. And they present it to the teacher as a rough draft, and the teacher revises it, and then they go back and make a final copy. So it's kind of getting deeper into rough drafts and final drafts and stuff like that. Now we're into, we talked about expository text and reading, but now we're talking about writing. So they said expository writing is the genre of writing to inform or explain. So they need to be digging in deeper into the content of what they are studying in the content area. So there's sources you can have from your primary sources, which are in-person observations and first-hand accounts, and then you have your secondary sources, which are articles online and other credible sources such as encyclopedias. There's reports that they can do. The teacher gives them a topic to research, and they research it, and they make many drafts. So there's many revisions of this, and they give it to the teacher and other students to revise for feedback to make their final drafts more scholarly, I guess. And if they have a good report paper, I guess, it would demonstrate like the knowledge of what you're studying in your content area. So if they're studying like division in math, they would know like what division is, how you do it, when you do it, and why you do it. So they display the mastery of the material. alphabet books. They're kind of more of an activity. Teacher gives out letters to each student, and they can look back into, say, math again, because I'm a math guy. Say they don't know what dividend means, so they look back into it and they say, find the meaning, and they try to put in a meaningful sentence or draw an appropriate representation or a real world connection where they can learn it and understand it. And Morrison and Wilcox has said that they help students to develop vocabulary essential for thinking in their assigned content areas. So we're moving on to the last one, which is argumentative writing, which is more of persuading people to think their way or understanding how other people think. And it says in the Common Core state standards for writing, emphasize developing students' abilities to support claims, to examine and convey complex ideas clearly and accurately, to produce writing appropriate to different purposes and audiences, and to draw evidence from sources to support this analysis. So this is there's a lot of research-based, very supportive from their sources, and so they'll be writing persuasive papers, so they'll be able to take their ideas and kind of try and back them up with sources they have found, and they'll be able to, if they are good at their persuasive papers, they'll be able to understand what they know, be able to back it up, and then also understand what other people's opinions, but be able to defend theirs against others' opinions. There's also an advertisement, which I thought was kind of weird, but kind of a cool way to make an argumentative writing or activity, I guess. In Morrison and Wilcox, it says businesses use various persuasion techniques to appeal to their senses and emotions and to convince them that their lives are incomplete without this or that product. So when you use advertisements, they're trying to persuade somebody that they can't live without the product, that they need the product, like you'd see on an everyday billboard. And so they pick a billboard and they pick something from your content area and write an advertisement about it. So this is my little tidbit I put in. They didn't really go over this, but like when I was doing my research, everything that I went back to was you need to be clear on your guidelines, have examples, because you aren't going to be, it's not going to be very clear cut for people who aren't writing necessarily. Like English is pretty clear cut, you're writing and you know how to write in English. But like writing on math, it's going to be difficult because there's mostly numbers, and like you really have to be creative in your prompts for them to write on. So it says providing models, and modeling gives students background knowledge they may lack. So having examples and clear guidelines will really help them to understand what they're supposed to be doing and be able to be the best they can be. So, in summary, we talked about writing with revision, writing without revision, expository text, argumentative writing, and teacher's obligations. And what was the one thing at the start that I said was not what we need to be doing? Like, what we need to be doing, but teachers aren't doing it. Can anybody tell me what that was? Yes.
Teach writing in the content area.
Yes. So it doesn't matter what content area you're in, you need to be teaching writing and reading, like we said before. And these are my references. I do have a Kahoot. I know you guys expected it, and it's coming. So I wasn't very creative.
It's so fun.
Looks like maybe one more.
know, I'm sorry. It's
No,
like,
you're good.
it's like I don't have internet connection.
You want to use my phone? I already told her.
It's working.
You can. All right, it looks like we're all in. So let's go. Do teachers typically think it is their responsibility to teach writing?
Oh no! Who knows? Oops. It was confused.
Right, they usually don't think that way because they're not English teachers, so they don't think it's their responsibility. Which is not an approach for writing without revision. Right, the shared writing is with revision because they're going over it and making more drafts. Pumpkin King, confused. Is that the one you got? Expository writing is a genre of
Darn it!
I thought D would be pretty self-explanatory. Persuasive papers allow students to voice their opinions. It was true. Alright, it looks like it's the last question. When writing in the content areas, teachers should.
Darn it. Are they all right? Or
No, I'm not-
Yes!
I'm not very nice to be.
I'm not allowed.
That's what it is.
I'm up there